What if it's not about a building? What if it's not about stained glass or steeples? What if it's about just Jesus?
If you go to Google and type up, hey, I need a verse for something about courage, strength, or fear, or motivation, the book of Joshua is usually at the top of the list, Corey. And I want to kind of get into what makes him strong or courageous, or what made him be the recipient from God to tell him that.
So God puts out this thing to Moses to say, the land I'm giving you is full of this and full of that. It had giants. It had wonderful crops. But it had fortified walls. It had many structures and different things that God wanted Moses to send spies to look at the land that God was giving them. And Moses said, I want you to go, and he sent 12 people. I want you to go and you look at this land and tell me about it. Does it have good ground? Does it have what does it have about it? Give me the details. And can we, in other words, are we going to be able to take it? Are we going to, what's it look like? And he takes 12 men. They go over and they go to check it out. They do see wonderful things about it. At one place, literally, they got grapes that were so big, they literally carried them between two men. And
like grapes for giants.
Exactly.
Little recon, doing a little recon.
Yeah. So that's a good point. What's God giving you that's going to require you to think bigger? Let's go, because God's got bigger for us, right? We also have to have a mindset that we are ready to receive bigger from God. But so 12 of them come back, obviously. 2 of them are like, this is ours. Let's get it. Let's go. It's ready. God's given it to us. That was Caleb and Joshua. The rest of the 10 said there's no way. There's giants. They will make our children a prey.
So were they planning on? Were they going to have to go and take this land, like take it over? Were they going to have to fight the giants for this, or was it just being given to them and everybody was going to accept that they could have it?
They were going to take it.
That's a big difference. Having to fight some giants is a little bit of a problem.
But they call it the promised land. Like God promised them this land, right? Is that what they're talking about?
Yes. So so it was theirs, but they didn't know exactly how it was going to come.
I feel like that's you telling me, hey, that car in the driveway, it's yours. And I get out there and there's someone sitting in it. I'm like, man, I'm like,
well, it's kind of like you tell me, hey, man, come on, let's go run. We're just going to run a little bit. And then we end up running 5 miles. And it's like, what?
What's a little bit to you?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're talking about those scouts that they sent out, those 12 scouts.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought was really cool is they stayed there for 40 days scouting it. And Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days. Like the Bible does that often, where they're using the same numbers, the same days, the same time frames. Like we talked about 7s.
Yes.
And now we're talking about 40s. I feel like all these things kind of come. You think that was just by accident?
And are you talking about, too, how they wandered through the wilderness for 40 years?
I wasn't even talking about that yet, but you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, so they sat there for 40 years, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, okay.
So this says in Numbers 13:25, the scouting report, after exploring the land for 40 days, the men returned to Moses, Aaron, and the whole community of Israel of Kadesh to the wilderness ground. That's where they came back and said, whoa, hang on. Yeah. We went there, but it's a little bit too much for us.
Yeah, and so they basically said, these giants are going to make our children a prey. We can't overcome them. In other words, like, it's not believing. You're seeing the trees instead of the forest.
So it's
In other
like when
words.
you go on vacation and you look at these multi-million-dollar houses and you can't afford it, but you're like, "Ugh, I would never take that because the kitchen's not just right for me." Or, if there's so many rooms, I wouldn't want to have to clean it.
That's one way to look.
Yeah. But let me back up and make sure I got this right, Corey.
Yeah.
So God told Moses, hey, this is your land. You guys
Absolutely.
go there and take it. They get there. Before they actually enter
Well,
it, they send 12 scouts out to check
yes.
it out, right?
Yep.
And they're just kind of hanging out waiting on these guys to come back.
Yes.
They come back and they say, hey, it's really scary. Except for 2 of them, you said, right?
Yes. Joshua and Caleb. So
Okay.
these are 2 powerhouse, faithful men that are not afraid of nothing. I believe it was Joshua that said, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Like, they're both like, this is not something we're trying to get. God's already given it to us.
It's ours.
All we have to do is have the mindset to go forward and go get it, and God's going to make that happen.
Go forth and prosper.
Well, I mean, there are giants, and I do understand. It's just the fact that
Well, now, are these not the same people that just escaped Egypt pretty much? They followed Moses all this way.
Yes.
And they're already broken. Like, they don't have, like, the strength. Like, they're like, gosh,
But
we're already here. Now we're going to go fight again?
and this is the mindset. It's almost like a victim mindset. It's
Of
like
course.
it never got to, with some of them, we're really free. You really brought us into freedom. You have brought us out of a country that we was enslaved by for 400 years. It wasn't that. It was, hey, we were comfortable there. We got fed there. We had shelter over our heads, and we had something to eat, and we knew the routine, and we were familiar with it. And now you've brought us out here in this wilderness with nothing to die.
Well,
And most of those people kept that main mindset, except the select few that said, this is what God has given us. What are you talking about? Like, God has set us into a free space. We are not enslaved by nobody. Like, okay, so we get a little hungry here and there. Like, food is not at easy access like it was, but literally God let manna fall down from heaven. They didn't even know what it was. Manna actually means, what is it? They didn't even know what it was, but this like bread-like substance falls from heaven and they eat it. God lets quails fly across the waters and bring them meat. But they've brought them out of Egypt, but some of them never got Egypt out of them. And a lot of times when God is trying to take you somewhere new, He can't bless you if you're still holding on mentally or emotionally or even physically to something from the past. Or from the place of your bondage, or your past relationship, or your past job, or your past circumstance that literally God is saying, I'm setting you free. But you can't let go of that to get this. You can't get the mindset. So this is what I'm going to do. And He basically says to them, to the ones that say, oh, we can't take it. They're giants. It's fortified walls. It's closed in. Like, there's no way that we'll be able to take that land. Although God already said it's yours. So God basically says, okay, everybody that says we can't, and the giants will make our kids a prey, I'll just leave, literally the words, I'll leave your carcass in the wilderness, and they will go over. Who? The ones that don't have Egypt still stuck in their mind. The ones that want to go back to where I've brought you out of. You want what you want. You don't want what I want. And if you did want what I wanted, you can't get past the things that are in there to even go, because you've already got a mindset that we're defeated.
Sink or swim, buddy.
And in one place in the story, the Bible said that not only did the giants see them as grasshoppers, but they saw themselves in their own sight that way. So we have to have a mindset that God is beyond, above everything that we could ever imagine. So when he says it's yours, if we are so connected to the past that we can't get past it, like, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because the way will be made. The path is there. God's already given it to you.
It's not the size of the problem. It's the size of your faith.
Yes. Come on.
I was looking here. Man, you said that Caleb and Joshua was the only two that was like, hey, we got it.
Yeah.
It's our land.
Yeah.
But I also saw later down that one, they wanted to stone them to death. And then also the other 10 that weren't Caleb and Joshua, it says that in Numbers 14:36, the 10 men Moses had sent to explore the land, the ones who incited rebellion against the Lord with their bad report, were struck dead with a plague before the Lord.
Oh, dude.
Whew. So, I mean,
they
paid for it.
At one point, they complained so much and was complaining about Moses. Who is Moses? Who put him in control? Who do you think you are to just be leading us? Like, there was people that even come up against him and said, like I should be leading this, and people were following this person. And God, like, let the ground open up and swallow 3,000 people at once.
Wow. I saw where they even said, just take us back to Egypt.
Exactly. And one time he literally let poisonous vipers out into the people and was biting them and killing them because they were complaining. And I know that everybody is guilty sometimes of being negative or complaining, but God,
Yeah.
but God has such a problem with that. Even in our lives right now, for everybody listening and us in here, God has something so immaculate and beautiful that it would blow all of our minds. But how in the world do we get to these low places to where we feel so suppressed, so depressed, so like in this state to where everything I have, I'm not really blessed?
Because we feel that me. You know, it's poor me this. I'm going through this. I'm struggling through that. We can't look beyond it sometimes. And I mean, we all get sucked into those things. I feel those things sometimes. Why is this happening? Or why is that? Gosh, you know, does this have to happen again?
Or somebody can do something at work, or something can happen. You can get a text that's bad, and immediately your life just go like a roller coaster. You're up here and then you just drop all of a sudden, and it's doom and gloom. And how am I going to make it? And God is saying this whole time, I brought you out here, and yes, it's a wilderness, and yes, it seems like a barren place, but it is to show you that I'm all you need. And once you understand how to trust me and how to believe me, you'll realize that you don't need nothing else. You don't need Egypt. You don't need that relationship where you thought that you had everything that you could possibly need in a person and more. Like, God is better than that. God is greater than that. The land that God's taken you to, I've said it multiple times, I know. It's like the sheep when the shepherd is literally leading him to, or her to to clear crystal waters to drink, and that sheep will drop its head and drink from a mud puddle every time. Like, so God, they wondered. People wonder why it took them 40 years to get to the promised land. Like, a lot of people think they're lost, or it was a very, very long trip to the end of the world or something.
So it took them 40 days to get there?
40 years.
40 years. Okay,
Yes.
so it took them 40 years to get there.
Yes.
They spent the spies in for 40 days.
Yeah.
And then God told them when they all got mad,
Yeah.
because of that, your spies were in there for 40 days, so you're going to be condemned to the wilderness for 40 years.
So 40 years in the wilderness.
But yeah,
and then 40 more years?
no, just 40 years, and that's the point. What God was saying was everybody in this generation that has been in Egypt.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said it took them from Egypt to get to the promised land was 40 years.
Yeah, I did.
Does that count in the time they spent in the wilderness?
If you're saying, are you talking about? That's the time they were in the wilderness.
They had to
40
travel
years.
through the wilderness.
I'm imagining that the travel time from Egypt to the wilderness was 40 years. So that's not accurate.
No, it was. I got you out of Egypt. Now you're in the wilderness.
Okay, I got
Like
you.
you don't. It's in other
I
words.
thought we were saying 40 plus 40
Yeah,
is,
you know.
Okay.
I did too. I was like, oh, golly, I can see why we were getting a little downtrodden.
We're a couple generations now.
Well, and what would it look like if they would have said, "Oh, it's ours. We got it." What if all of them would have said that? Like, perhaps God would have just put them right in the promised land.
Yeah.
But even Moses, you talk about Joshua leading them and turning it over from Moses. God told Moses he would not see the promised land because there was a chain of events that God told Moses and instructed him on how to do something with the people, what to give them, how to supply their need. At one point, he says, smite the rock, hit the rock, and the water will give water, or the rock will give water. And in another place, he says, speak to it. And Moses now think about this. There are, some say, millions of the children that he's leading.
That's a lot.
Just think about that. All this time, and how many of them, I don't even know. I don't know how many of a percentage of those people are complaining to him every second of every bit of the way. And at one point, God says, okay, do it this way, and this will happen, and we'll supply the people. And Moses is so frustrated that he doesn't speak to it. He smites it again. He hits it. And in so many ways, it represents Christ. It represents Jesus, because at first it was Jesus. Jesus is the rock. And it represents them whipping Jesus.
Mm.
But then Jesus is not going to be whipped no more, because he's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and he's resurrected. And he's the water. He's the one that's giving the water. But then it says, now don't smite it this time. Speak to it. And he smites it because he's frustrated. And
Been there.
that just seems crazy to me, but that is literally, he doesn't see the promised land. And it's because he's already 80 when he's leading them. And now God is saying, no, we gotta let this whole generation pass, because all of them are still thinking like Egypt.
And here's, I got it up, Numbers 14:34. This is God speaking. Because your men explored the land for 40 days, you must wander in the wilderness for 40 years, a year for each day, suffering the consequences of your sins. Then you will discover what it's like to have me as an enemy. I, the Lord, have spoken. I will certainly do these things to every member of the community who has conspired against me. They will be destroyed here in the wilderness, and here they will die.
Wow. And that's so powerful because that makes it even more so because it's like,
Did that not apply to Jacob and Josh or Caleb and Josh?
No, because they weren't the ones that were conspiring against him.
but there was a whole nother generation of them that at the time, think about this, there was probably children being raised in those moments and being born and brought. They didn't know Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about like how powerful that is for some generations. Like Jesus talks about the new wineskin and the old wineskin. You can't put new wine in the old wineskin because the old wineskin's already expanded as much as it's going to. And if you put new wine into it, it's just going to burst.
But negativity breeds negativity, and that'll just continue happening.
Yes, and a mindset that there's so many people. My point is, there's so many people in generations, even in the spiritual and in churches and things. I'm not going to do it that way. This is nothing we've ever did. We're not going to change the tradition that we've been doing this to do it a new way because these younger people think that it should be this way. But it's like, if you don't think that you can see the light anymore because you've got all of it that God's ever going to give, that you can't learn nothing else from God because you know everything, because you've seen everything, and you it's got to be this way. Like there's people that still run churches like they did in 1960 or 1970, and we have to evolve because the world is ever evolving. And you say, well, God don't change. You're exactly right. God does not change, but he changes the seasons, and he changes the kings, and he changes those who are in charge. And so we have to change with people. As Paul said, I became all things to all men that I may win some. And if you don't have a mindset for God, it don't matter what you think. It don't matter where you came from. If God says it's yours and I've got the promise for you and I've got the future for you, be strong enough and faithful enough to go if it don't look like anything that you've been used to.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's fast forward ahead. Moses dies. Joshua, that was his right-hand man? Or was that his third in command? Or where did he fall in the list of ranking?
Well, Aaron was the man.
He was the one with the jewels on his...
Absolutely. Because he was after the Levitical priesthood, and so that was a certain apparel that they had the stones in.
Well, and if you're talking about God comes to Joshua and says, hey, you're the guy.
Yeah.
Did he follow Moses' lead, or did God put him in place before that?
No,
how does all that work?
No, he was in there, and he was like a protege.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was more or less like, I don't want to say a teacher's pet, but he was like down for whatever was said. He was one of those that God says it's mine, it's mine.
But
you say do it, I'm doing it. Like.
But you would think, being everything that he was, especially with Moses, he went to the promised land, he came back, he's went through all this stuff with Moses, but God kind of gives him a pep talk when he puts him in charge, like he didn't think he was worthy of it.
Absolutely. Do you got that right there?
Yeah. Joshua 1:6. Be strong and courageous, for you are the one who will lead these people to possess all the land I swore to their ancestors I would give them.
Just read that first sentence again.
Yeah, I mean, and he keeps going. Be strong and very courageous.
Dude,
be strong and courageous. I mean, dude, this is like what men go to look to get encouraged and be boosted.
The one of the points to that, one of the most powerful points to that is, even in the Bible, Paul says, be strong. Yes, be courageous, but not in you, in the Lord. Paul said, let the weak say I'm strong. When you feel the weakest, when you feel like you're not the man for the job, you pretty much, or you feel like you're not the woman for the job, you pretty much are the person for the job. because who is it? Is it Plato, that the philosopher that says the man basically who desires power is not fit to hold it? So Moses was the same way. We've read that too. Moses said, "No,
I'm not the guy."
I can't speak. No, like, and so that's exactly what God is looking for. I want you to understand and be strong in the fact that you ain't doing it. Be strong in me. Be strong and have faith in me, and you have courage and you have strength because of me.
Fear is normal. There's nothing wrong with fear. And we all have fear of everything, no matter what it is. And I think that's kind of what Joshua had here. But God told him, be strong and courageous. You know, courage is not the absence of fear. It's the presence of fear, but yet still the will to go on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what he's telling him here.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, I promise to the Lord, he knows that the thing that scares you the most of the time is probably what God wants you to do the most. And the only way that you'll ever get past it, and you might be scared to death every time you do it or while you're doing it, but the only way you'll get past something like that is to do it.
I'm afraid of hummingbirds.
I don't. Okay.
I just had a situation this weekend with a hummingbird, and it was terrifying, like heart pounding. I was so afraid I'm going to make it through.
Was your heart pounding as fast as their wings?
They are terrifying little creatures. But like there are things that we just have to conquer, and you do not belittle my fear. But
I'm not at all. Seriously, I just wasn't expecting it. But what exactly do you think you could do to overcome that fear?
I put a hummingbird feeder on my patio.
That's it.
I am trying to be courageous here over
Come
the
on.
hummingbird. And I have been trying to sit outside when I see one coming to eat.
You know, I think you should just go try to pet one.
Not there yet. No, it's real. Like it is scary. Like terrifying fear.
It's amazing that I just think it's funny you said that. It's one of the most miraculous birds that there are. Like it is a miracle in itself. Like how fast, at what rate that it can flap its wings and literally hover in one spot, like a helicopter.
That's scary.
And kind of switching back here. I don't have it all in front of me, but from what I understand, they took over the promised
land. I want to have a hummingbird faith.
Yeah. So they took over the promised land, and they kind of split it up amongst the 12 tribes. And Joshua...
But I thought that 10 of those 12 people...
No, I'm sorry. The tribes are different than the spies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that right, Corey?
Yes.
Okay. So they kind of split them up. And then he kind of told them, hey, everything's good. And I'm skipping a lot. But he said, and this is probably the best thing I think Joshua said that I really love. He said, and Corey mentioned it earlier, he said, you kind of do what you need to do. Do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
But for me and my family, we will praise the Lord. And it was something like that, Corey. I don't have it pulled up. Serve the Lord. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's crazy. Like all that they went through, finally everything settled down. And he just kind of told them, whatever you want to do. But for me and mine, we're going to serve the Lord.
And you just think like there's so many things that why wouldn't he be just like everybody else? Why wouldn't he just? They're right. There are giants. I really don't know how we're going to overcome. Like it would be easy to have the mindset. I mean, it's okay to have fear. It really is. Fear can really drive you into some, or even catapult you into greatness, and especially in the eyes of God. I really think God likes it when we fear, when we don't have it all figured out, but we don't let the fear be contingent on our future. We don't let it stop us. We don't let it paralyze us. And even though it could, but God is in control. You don't have to know how it's going to be yours. You don't have to know how you're going to get there. You don't have to understand all that. You just have to be willing to step past the fear and realize that this is a journey we don't walk by sight anyways. You ain't looking at the giant. Stop looking at the mountain. You're walking by faith. And faith is what pleases God the most. And that is how, and the only way, we will see God and be able to follow what He's asking. And God wants to repo the land from the giants and give it into you. Give it to you. But we have to have a mindset to think bigger than the giants, because our God is bigger than that. Be blessed.